Don't end up like your mom, my mother-in-law told my 8-year-old, loud enough for the whole room. She lies for sport. I'm Megan Lawson, and I wish that slap across my face was the worst thing that happened on my 35th birthday. It wasn't. The worst part was watching my daughter, Lily, blink like she'd just been taught to distrust gravity. Because if a kid starts doubting her mom, that doubt doesn't disappear. It grows teeth. So tell me, am I in the wrong for refusing to keep the peace after someone tried to poison my child against me? Yeah, 27 witnesses watched everything. Stick with me, subscribe, because what happened next made 27 guests go silent. Drop a comment right here today. It started way before the birthday dinner. It started in the pauses, those hesitations kids get when they're trying to guess what answer won't get them in trouble. The morning of my birthday, Lily sat at our kitchen island in her pajamas, tracing circles on the marble like she was trying to erase herself. I was making pancakes, pretending everything was normal because mothers learn that panic is contagious. Mom, she said, not looking up, do I have to go tonight? She didn't mean the restaurant. She meant Diane Prescott, my mother-in-law, who could say, sweetheart, like it was a threat. It's just dinner, I told her, keeping my voice light. We'll go for a bit, then we'll come home. Lily nodded like she understood the words, but not the promise. Then she dropped the sentence that made my stomach fall through the floor. Grandma says you lie. I turned off the burner, careful, like any sudden movement might scare her. I crouched to her eye level. What exactly did she say? Lily swallowed. She said, don't be like Mommy. Mommy makes things up. And Grandpa said you tell stories. Stories? That cute little word adults use when they want to shrink the truth until it fits inside their comfort. My reality wasn't stories. It was my life, my marriage, my parenting, my boundaries, constantly rewritten by a woman who treated control like a hobby. I took Lily's hands. They were cold. I mess up sometimes, I said. I forget things sometimes. But I don't lie to you, ever. Her shoulders lowered a little, like her body wanted to believe me, but her brain had been trained to hesitate. Then she whispered the line that cracked me open. Grandma said, if I believe you, I'm disloyal. Disloyal. Imagine putting that word in an 8-year-old's mouth. Imagine teaching a child that loving her mom is betrayal. This kind of emotional abuse survives because it hides behind manners and money and family values. My husband Ethan always called his mom old school. He wasn't loud cruel, he was quiet cruel. He watched Diane correct Lily with icy comments. Clumsy. Fix yourself. Good girls don't question. And he stayed neutral, like neutrality was virtue instead of cowardice. And every time I pushed back, Ethan would hiss, Megan, don't start. Translation. Don't make my mother uncomfortable. Don't ruin the image. Then Diane brought in her solution. Dr. Grant Hollis. Not a warm therapist. More like a private consultant for rich families who wanted their mess to look polished. Sessions were always at Diane's house, with Diane in the room, with Ethan sitting close to her like he needed an oxygen mask. Dr. Hollis didn't ask how Lily felt. He asked who she felt safe with, while Diane watched like she was grading a test. When Lily said, Mom, Diane would chirp, remember, honey, Mommy gets overwhelmed. And Lily's eyes would flicker, confused, and then she'd add, and Grandma too. Like she'd learned the right answer was the one that kept the peace. That's when it clicked for me. This wasn't therapy. This was rehearsal. Custody rehearsal. So I did what lawyers do when they can't afford to be naive. I documented screenshots, emails, notes, dates, phrases that sounded concerned but were really knives. Emotional volatility, inconsistent parenting, structure. I hired a private investigator, Miles Carter, quietly, someone who didn't flinch when I said the word alienation. Miles looked at me over my kitchen table and said, they're not trying to punish you, they're trying to erase you. And once you realize someone's trying to erase you, you stop arguing. You start building a file. We rode up to the private dining room, glass walls, skyline, staff smiling too hard. Diane Prescott had invited exactly 27 people, and Dr. Grant Hollis sat where he could watch me like a lab sample. Lily's hand shook in mine. Diane greeted me with an air kiss. Megan, you look lovely. Then she straightened Lily's dress, fingers firm on her shoulders. Say hello properly. Lily tried. Her voice barely came out. Diane smiled like she'd trained her. Ethan sat beside me, stiff, eyes tracking his mother the way a child watches a parent for permission. Dinner wasn't food. Dinner was traps. Sweetheart, Diane said to Lily, loud enough for everyone, tell Grandma what Mommy promised you. Lily blinked, confused. If she guessed wrong, Diane could say she was mixed up. If she guessed right, Diane could say I made promises I couldn't keep. Either way, the verdict was ready. Mom is unreliable. Grandma is stable. I cut in, calm. Lily and I are going to the museum on Saturday. Diane's smile held. How sweet. Then she turned to the room. Megan is very ambitious. Sometimes ambition makes it hard to focus on what matters. Then Diane stood and tapped her glass. Friends, she said, thank you for celebrating Megan, 35. She said my age like a flaw. Then she looked at Lily. And here is our Lily, the future. Lily, Diane said, palm out. Come here. Lily looked at me. I nodded gently because I refused to teach her that fear is the correct response to power. She stepped forward. Diane placed a hand on her back and squeezed. Tell everyone what Grandma taught you, Diane murmured. Lily's face drained of color. And Diane delivered the line herself, smiling. Don't be like Mommy, she's a liar. The room didn't gasp. It paused, like 27 adults had decided to watch and see how far it would go. Ethan's chair scraped. He stood. He didn't look at Lily. He looked at me like I was the enemy in a story he'd rehearsed. Why don't you tell the truth for once? He said, voice tight. You've been lying about money, about where you go, about what you tell Lily. Ethan, I said quietly, stop. He stepped forward and slapped me. My cheek burned, and the sound that cut deepest was Lily's gasp. My child realizing adults can choose cruelty. That's when I laughed, because I recognized the setup. Because the public incident they'd been hunting just happened, with witnesses. I stood, smoothed my dress, and looked around the table. Thank you, I said. Diane's smile twitched. For what? For showing up, I said. You didn't come to my birthday dinner, you came to testify. I held out my hand. Lily, come to me. Diane's fingers tightened. Lily hesitated, then stepped away, like she'd finally realized the stove was hot. I pulled her close, felt her shaking, and nodded to my friend Miles near the door. Miles, I said, take her to Julia's. Now. When the door closed behind my daughter, I clicked a remote. The wall lit up. Flowcharts, wire transfers, shell companies, clean lines and dirty money. Then audio. Diane's voice, calm and chilling. Get Lily to doubt Megan. Family court becomes easier. Another clip. Dr. Hollis, smooth as a blade. If Ethan loses control, it helps. 27 faces went bloodless. And then the door opened again. This time with Captain Reyes and federal agents holding a warrant. In that moment, Diane finally learned a truth she'd never respected. Evidence doesn't care who you are. After the agents walked Diane and Dr. Hollis out, I didn't stick around to watch rich people practice shock. I went straight to Julia's house with one goal: get Lily somewhere quiet enough for her body to stop shaking. Julia, Ethan's sister, opened the door and froze when she saw my cheek. He hit you? Yeah, I said flat, because if I spoke like it mattered, I might fall apart. She looked down at Lily's face and her expression hardened. Come in, she said. Now. That night, Lily didn't sob. She clung. She crawled into my lap like she was afraid I might disappear, and she whispered, Grandma said you'd leave me. My chest tightened. No, I said. Never. She said you leave when you're mad, Lily murmured. And that's when I understood what Diane had really been planting. Not just mom lies, but love is conditional. Love can be taken away. I pulled back so Lily could see my face. Listen to me, I said. If I ever leave a room, it's because I'm getting help, not because I'm leaving you. Her eyes searched mine like she was fact-checking my soul. Then she nodded and fell asleep against me. The next morning, I didn't post. I filed. Emergency protective order, witness list, audio transcripts. A timeline that showed how concern was being used as a weapon. Because in families like Diane's, emotion gets dismissed. Evidence doesn't. I called Lily's school and updated every pickup list and password. I added locks and checked cameras because calm doesn't return overnight. Lily started jumping at little sounds, an elevator ding, a neighbor's door. One night she whispered, "Is Grandma coming?" Like Diane was a storm system. I sat by her bed and said, "No one can take you without me. If anyone scares you, you find me first. We leave together. Always." She stared at me for a long second, then rested her head on my arm and finally exhaled. That was the moment I realized healing isn't a speech. It's repetition. One calm promise again and again, until the fear unlearns too. Ethan called once. His voice sounded hollow. "Megan, please. I don't know what's wrong with me." I believed him and I still didn't excuse him. "Get real help," I told him. "Not Hollis, not your mother's people." A pause. "Can I see Lily?" My throat tightened. "Not right now, not until the court says it's safe." He made a broken sound. "Okay." A week later, Lily asked a question that hurt worse than the slap. "Mom," she said, staring at her hands, "am I bad?" "No," I said instantly. Why would you think that?" She swallowed. "Grandma said if I love you more than Dad, I'm disloyal." Disloyal, the leash word. The way they tried to turn a child's love into a loyalty oath. So I did the only thing that breaks a lie. I replaced it with truth, over and over until it stuck. "Love isn't disloyal," I said. "Love is safe. Safe means you don't have to earn it. You don't have to perform. You don't have to choose sides." Lily repeated the word, quiet and careful. "Safe." "Yeah," I said. "Safe." So here's my question to you. Am I in the wrong for refusing to keep the peace when the price was my daughter's trust? If someone tried to poison your kid against you, would you stay silent because it's family? Or would you burn the script down with receipts? Drop a comment and tell me what you'd do, because I'm still rebuilding Lily's sense of safety one honest sentence at a time. I used to think family meant swallowing things that hurt, smiling through it, letting the sharp comments slide because it was easier than conflict. Now I know that's not peace. That's surrender. My daughter didn't need me to be polite. She needed me to be clear. Lily still has moments where she pauses before trusting her own feelings. When that happens, I don't lecture. I kneel down, look her in the eyes, and remind her, you don't have to earn love. You don't have to pick sides to be safe. And slowly, little by little, she's coming back to herself. Ethan is getting help. Real help. Whether he earns a place in Lily's life again is up to a judge and up to his actions, not his apologies. So, am I in the wrong for blowing up a perfect dinner to protect my child's mind? If your kid was being taught to doubt you, would you stay quiet or would you fight, even if it made you the villain in someone else's story? If this hit you, tell me in the comments right now. And if you want more real stories about boundaries, justice, and rebuilding after betrayal, subscribe and stick around.